DIRT TRAX TV is sponsored by Polaris, think outside. Can-Am, follow your path. Yamaha, revs your heart. And by Honda Power Sports, power your dreams, whatever the terrain.
Polaris has made the safety, performance, and quality of their off-road products an absolute priority. We were given the most unrestricted access to their Wyoming, Minnesota design and test facility we've ever had, so we could see firsthand the development processes put in place to make this priority a reality.
Polaris's overarching mission for quality is to produce the safest, highest performing, and best quality vehicles in the industry. So everything that we do all the way from the beginning of the project through design, test and validation, all the way through manufacturing takes those three things into account. Where it starts is here in our product development facility. So once we have a new design, we start with computer-aided engineering. So what we do is we analyze the parts in the design phase so we can help predict failures. And it's much easier and faster to identify and resolve those issues in the design phase. And then that's when we prototype the parts, we build concepts, and then gather some additional lab and field testing in order to further prove out the designs. So when a customer sees one of our new models, Polaris just didn't think about or design or validate this overnight. Some of our models have been in the works for anywhere from 5 to 6 to even 7 years from initial concept all the way through to validation and production. So quite a bit of time, rigor, and testing goes into these products before they reach the customer.
Polaris has invested tens of millions of dollars into design, fabrication, and testing equipment at the Wyoming facility alone in just the past 7 to 8 years.
So we're here at our Wyoming, Minnesota facility. It's a state-of-the-art facility in central Minnesota. And it's really cutting edge from a overall capability and technology standpoint. From engine dynos to vehicle dynamic shakers to acoustic chambers, we really have it all. The facility is on 600 acres, which gives us the ability to do quite a bit of testing right here on the grounds. We have 18 miles of trails. And then in the facility, we really have state-of-the-art lab and analysis capabilities. This is where the majority of the design and computer-aided analysis happens. We also have fabrication and rapid prototyping capabilities, so we can very quickly make parts, install them on a prototype, and do some initial testing. And then once we have a proof of concept, that's when we send the vehicles and the parts down to our Polaris Proving Grounds, and that's where we do more intense testing from a reliability and durability perspective. We have acceleration factors, and really our goal at that facility is to inflict the most amount of damage or extreme testing in the shortest amount of time to really push our vehicles to the limits.
In their pursuit of the highest levels of safety, performance, and quality, Polaris remains a company who listens to the wants and needs of their customers. They are the very starting point of the design validation process.
So where it all starts for us is with the customer. We identify an unmet customer need or a way to improve the overall customer riding experience, and then we bring that back to our product and our engineering and product development teams and say, how can we solve this unique problem? One of the first things we do is we go through computer-aided engineering, or what we call analysis-led design. And that's really gained a lot of momentum over the past few years because it's a very easy and fast way to identify failures before we even prototype or produce any parts. So we use different software packages to help predict vehicle handling, vehicle rideability, vehicle stability, but then also identify stresses and strains on parts so that we can make the best possible design the first time around. So as we're going to validate these vehicles, we put them through an extensive, what we call a DVPNR. That's a design, verification, process, and report. And so it calls out all the extensive tests from a lab perspective, field tests, component level, and then full vehicle tests. So for example, on a vehicle that's sitting behind me here today, it has upwards of 1,300 to 1,400 line items in that DVPNR to ensure that we have the highest quality, safest vehicle on the market for our consumers.
Testing upwards of 1,300 to 1,400 individual items on a vehicle is hard to fathom, but it's how Polaris tests these items and how far they push them during testing that I think really matters.
So one important part of testing at Polaris is what we call limit testing or failure testing. And that's basically bringing a part, a component, or a vehicle to failure. And so we have multiple ways to do that here at Polaris. One is on the engine dyno, where we can cycle the engine 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through extreme conditions. The other thing we have is cold chambers. So we're testing the vehicle down to -20 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we also have hot chambers where you can test the vehicle up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit to represent all the different conditions they're going to ride in. The other test capabilities we have here at Polaris are a vehicle dynamic shaker. So we can put the vehicle up on a 4-post shaker, run it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, simulating very, very rough conditions and getting those accelerated miles on the vehicle so we can fail components sooner and therefore come up with a fix that'll live in the field. So not only do we test our vehicles in the lab to extremes, we also use our various field testing facilities to really push the vehicles to our limits. So any new platform that we work on, we put through hundreds of thousands of test miles in a variety of different conditions to ensure that the vehicle is the safest, highest performing, highest quality vehicle for our customers as it's rolling down the assembly line and shipping to our dealers. Not only do we push our vehicles to the limits, we also pay attention to the smallest details. So some of those could be what we call NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness. So it's the squeaks, it's the rattles, it's the little annoying things that just detract from the rider experience. So the level of detail we go to on these vehicles is we go down to the component level from a testing perspective. And then we do the subsystem level testing, both from a lab environment. And then from there we go to the vehicle level testing to ensure that all these components and all these subsystems are working flawlessly together.
Focusing on safety, performance, and value is nothing new at Polaris. It's always been at the forefront of everything they do. But there's no question it's become an even greater priority in these past few years than it's ever been before.
Quality has always been in our DNA here at Polaris, but we've really, over the last couple of years, really expanded our capabilities and our processes and our learning to ensure that every product that we put out the door is the highest performing, safest, best quality product that we can produce for our consumers. And we're extremely proud of that as an organization.
Trail Tech is sponsored by Princess Auto. Make it work.
Welcome back to the Overland Build, where I have so many parts to install that I'm just going to jump right back into it because we don't even have enough time for everything. So now that we've got our D3 custom roof on and our Go Overland rooftop tent, let's get back into this. Now we know that overlanding means you need to have the ultimate in capability, so we're going to be installing these 32-inch tall tires and rims, but as you guessed, they won't fit on the UFORCE XL without some updates. This is where Moorhead Off-Road comes to the build, delivering an incredibly beefy heavy-duty arched A-arm kit, both front and rear. These arms are built of 1/4-inch wall thick USA-built steel, powder-coated in black or silver, or available raw. This kit will allow you to run up to a 35-inch, yep, you heard me correct, 35-inch tall tires, all while using the stock OEM axles, bushings, and ball joints. We decided to add on the optional HD tie rod kit as the massive increase in size is going to put more stress on the steering system. Now this kit is covered by a lifetime warranty, and they're built by Moorhead Off-Road in collaboration with Team MSCparts.com. And while there isn't an actual number for increased ground clearance or lift, this kit just took our UFORCE 1000 XL from mild to absolutely wild. Now at this point, the obvious second step is to toss the tires and rims on, but in reality, after putting this lift in, going to this big of a set of tires and rims, we got to put a clutch kit on. This isn't an option, this is a necessity. The Team MSCparts.com team sent me over the Stage 3 clutch kit for the UFORCE XL, and these guys offer so much for the CF Moto line of products, so check them out. This Stage 3 kit comes with Vadi Varico springs out of Finland, as well as a billet aluminum secondary helix specific to our UFORCE XL. But Team MSC has Stage 1, 2, and 3 kits for all CF Moto side-by-side owners. The kit also comes with weights and a spring for the primary clutch and instructions on how to set it all up and reclock your secondary clutch. This kit will ensure that we put power to the ground efficiently for our larger tire size, getting everything the 1000 XL has to offer out of the engine and still maintain our belt life. And speaking of belts, Motovan hooked us up with an Ultimax UPX 485 to ensure that we also have the best performing belt for this application. And now with the clutching setup ready to handle the huge increase in tire size, I would say it's about high time for me to put these tires and rims onto the CF Moto. Again, TeamMSCParts.com hooked us up with a beautiful set of MSA M21 LOK beadlock aluminum rims. We opted for the charcoal tint center and black gloss beadlock to match the rest of the build. The rims are 15-inch by 7-inch, and because of their true beadlock will allow us to run much lower air pressure when we find ourselves in the most aggressive terrain and need ultimate traction. Now wrapped around those beautiful MSA rims are 32 by 10 TIS Hercules UT1 tires in a square setup so that we can rotate them at any time, any location. The UT1 tires are a perfect blend of all-terrain performance with high-quality rubber compounds and aggressive shoulder lugs, as well as an excellent clear-out capability and exceptional pinch and tear resistance, thanks to the heavy ply rating. This package not only increases capabilities exceptionally, it looks flippin' ridiculously great, and that is a fact. Now, while I'm sitting a lot higher up off the ground, there is one other thing that I should address, and that's skid plates, because they're really important. CF Moto Canada offers both aluminum A-arm guards for front and rear, but also full HDPE, or high-density polyethylene skid plates for the entire underside of the UFORCE XL. Now, we won't be able to use the included HDPE A-arm guards because of our new high-arched arms, but we can use the entire underbody protection that literally covers everything on the underside with 8mm of HDPE. This will ensure any rock strikes or sticks that try to puncture up and through the bottom get turned down immediately. It'll also help us to slide the UFORCE over any obstacles that we do tackle that may be just a bit too big. Skid plates are rarely seen, and most times you don't even notice that they're doing their job. But one small miscalculation or flung up stick can do a world of hurt if you don't have them. In my opinion, they're as important as a winch on any ATV or side-by-side, and the cost from CF Moto Canada is excellent at just under $900 Canadian. I've put a lot of stuff on today and really changed the look of our UFORCE 1000 XL Overland build, but the reality is I have so many more parts to put on this thing. So make sure you tune in for next week where I'll continue our DIRT TRAX Overland build.
DIRT TRAX has been sponsored by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll. MBRP Performance Exhaust, built for the victory lap. And by Hercules Tire. Ride in our strength.
ARGO has been around since 1967 and is obviously best known for their 6- and 8-wheel amphibious recreational vehicles known as XTVs. In 2017, though, they entered the ATV market and have been steadily growing their market share with their 4-wheeled products. We spent a lot of time on ARGO ATVs and more recently their utility side-by-sides and have come away impressed with the mix of build quality, performance, and value that they offer. New for 2024 is their most impressive side-by-side offering yet, the Magnum XF 1000 LE, targeted directly at the high-end 1000cc full-size utility segment. Let's not beat around the bush here. The XF 1000 LE is in direct competition with Polaris's Ranger 1000 XP Premium and Can-Am's Defender XT HD 10. One look at the spec sheet for the XF, though, says it came to play. Let's start with power. Under the hood, you'll find a 997cc V-twin that produces 83 horsepower. This is officially 1 more horsepower than its competition. What I found most impressive was how the power felt, though. This engine feels strong. It's got tons of bottom end and accelerates hard off the line. The engine is also very quiet and doesn't vibrate excessively. It's very smooth. With that said, it does not include multiple drive modes, and the throttle tip-in is pretty aggressive, which means smooth power modulation takes some pretty steady footwork at slower speeds. Suspension comes in the form of dual arms that produce 11 inches of travel front and rear, and an overall total of 14.2 inches of ground clearance, which is pretty impressive. Even with the suspension setup as soft as possible, the Magnum rides really stiff. Now this is fantastic when you load up the gigantic cargo box with a full 1,000 pounds or hook a 2,500 pound load under the 2-inch hitch receiver. Still, I'd like to see the shocks and springs tuned for a more plush ride that would better allow you to take advantage of all 11 inches of available travel when you're using the Magnum 1000 unloaded. Now speaking of the cargo box, this one is impressively big. It's crazy deep, 12.6 inches to be exact, and it features D-ring tie-down points at all 4 corners, a really nice functioning one-handed removable tailgate, 5-gallon bucket inlays, and an easy-to-use tilt mechanism with quick releases on both ends of the gas assist strut. I have zero complaints about this cargo box. It's excellent in every way. And the tailgate even includes a ruler, which may or may not be useful to you, but either way, I think it's cool. Moving to the interior of the Magnum 1000, the list of features is again impressive. The 3-passenger bench seat is adjustable for the driver and flips up on the passenger side. It also features a center flip-down storage area. One of the most impressive aspects of the interior is the massive amount of available legroom. This is easily the most legroom available on any utility side-by-side in the industry, but even though I'm 6'1" and have the seat adjusted all the way forward, I still feel like I'm too far away from the steering wheel, which brings up an interesting issue. If you're a smaller rider, you're going to find the huge amount of legroom combined with the limited amount of driver's seat forward adjustment will leave you feeling like you're stretching to get to the pedals. I think it would be a good idea for ARGO to look at making the driver's seat adjust quite a bit further forward to help accommodate a wider range of driver sizes. The dashboard of the Magnum 1000 is really nicely laid out and includes a bunch of different storage areas. You've got 2 glove boxes here and a very large storage tray above the passenger's feet. The gauge is also really nice. It's super bright, easy to read, and has all the information you could possibly need. Now before I talk about the most unique feature of the Magnum XF 1000 LE, I wanted to point out a few other excellent features that make this unit worthy of an LE trim level. A 4,500 pound winch with synthetic cable is standard, as is the roof, rear view mirror, HD bumper, and nice looking 14-inch aluminum wheels. You'll find 12-volt and standard USB-A outlets in the dash, and the power steering has 3 modes that are adjusted via the gauge. Lastly, the Magnum includes 2 different keys. The short one is the standard key, the long one limits top speed for less experienced drivers or for safety on a job site. As you can see, the Magnum 1000 LE's specs and features list makes it extremely strong competition in the 1000 utility class, but this model has one feature that none of its competition has. Where most utility side-by-sides have 4 different differential modes, the Magnum includes a 5th mode called Turf Assist. Essentially, power is delivered to the front and rear diffs, but they're both unlocked, which means it's essentially 2-wheel drive, but instead of it being 2 rear wheels, it's 1 front and 1 rear. This mode is excellent when you're on sensitive surfaces but need more traction than Turf mode's 1-wheel drive can offer. Now this can also be a cool option when you're trail riding and encounter deep water or mud. Instead of being pushed through the mud in 2-wheel drive, you're actually being pushed and pulled through the mud with 1 front and 1 rear wheel, while still maintaining light and easy handling. The final things I want to talk about are looks and value. First, the Magnum XF 1000 LE is a very tough looking side-by-side that feels like it's well built. It may not be as refined as some of its competition, but it is close, and it retails for thousands of dollars less than the competition, which makes it the perfect choice for anybody looking for a fully featured, fully capable, well-built, full-size utility side-by-side that can hold its own against any of its competition, but who still wants to keep a few extra $1,000 in their jeans. If you guys love footage of mud flying 30 feet in the air, if you love footage of cascades of muddy water washing over the helmets of riders, if you love footage of us here at DIRT TRAX, your favorite hosts, getting hopelessly stuck waist deep in mud, then we have got the test ride coming up for you next week. Right here I've got a brand new Maverick XMR Turbo RR. This thing is awesome, and as you can see, I have done all of those things that I just described to you, and I did it just for you guys. I can't wait for you guys to see the full test ride on this thing. We're gonna talk about the things we like, the things we don't like, give you guys a full rundown on exactly how it works in the mud, obviously, and you're not gonna wanna miss this. So make sure you tune in next week for our full review of Can-Am's new Maverick XMR Turbo RR.